We're into the guts of this mofo. You'll see right here, there's these 3 transformers. First stage, the second stage, and the third stage of the percussion circuit. The circuit flows this way. You've got your preamp and stuff here, and your power section. And you've got this keying circuit for the foot pedal, and then you've got the rectifier, which gives you your power supply. These are your filter capacitors here and here. Control mechanism for the keyboard pedal. That's coming off. Everything is coming off. That's what I'm getting ready to do right now, is I'm gonna take this thing completely apart. While there are parts in here that I will wind up reusing, I mean, these little guys, this guy, they're probably fine. Some of these capacitors I will clip and reuse. Maybe I'll test them, but I don't have a lot of confidence, and they're not the greatest capacitors to begin with. Just like a lot of other guys back then, they love using these ceramic caps for coupling. I hate that. I hate these as coupling caps. All of those are getting thrown away. They're terrible. People will complain about this design. They're like, oh, it's too skinny, it's too wide. Instead of complaining about it, I want to use the most out of it. I will wind up removing all of this stuff back here. We'll get a custom plate that will go on there. I'll reuse this circuit board, which these are wonderful, actually. You can pull the whole thing apart. You can rebuild it. You can redesign it however you want. These are great. Transformers, sockets, chassis, and some resistors. Everything else is getting replaced. Now we get to go into the super exciting part where I dismantle this whole thing. I have pulled these extra transformers out of this area here. What I like to do is I take a piece of tape and put them on each of these leads. And you can see this is an open coil. You see where the coils are connected right here. Pretty neat little guy. We'll do something fun with that, but for now, that's going to be put aside. We're going to focus on these. These are going to get breadboarded out into a Veramu circuit. That first transformer, this guy, was this one right here. And then this is the first stage of amplification. And then that feeds into the secondary transformer, which then feeds a balanced circuit, which then go back through here. We'll talk more about Veramu later. I just wanted to point out that this is T5, which is the input, this guy, and then this is T6, which is the output guy right here. The difference between them is T5 has these 2 primaries and then a center tap secondary. This one has a center tap primary and a regular rolled secondary. So that's what I've got on these guys. I'll go over the part numbers real quick. AO-22064. T5 is AO-24113. It's like a date code in 1964. And then this guy right here is AO-24112 with another date code of 64. This one's got a little more shielding on it. This is the output. So these guys will become fun stuff, but for now, they're removed. I've also labeled these guys. That's T3, and I pulled all of its leads. That's the center tap for the B positive, and then this is the secondary that goes to the speakers. Over here on the power transformer, I've got the AC. This just has a single primary, these 2 black cables. This is a center tap for the heater. I will wind up putting this, connecting it to the joined cathodes of the cathode bias power section. That'll raise it a little bit above ground and help with hum. Since it's cathode biased, that's what I'll do, because it's slightly above ground, which raises it above the ground plane and away from that noise. And then right here is the B positive center tap. My transformers are sorted out. Now they're the most important part of this whole recovery effort here. The transformers are the most expensive part. They have the most character. They are even more important probably than the tubes you put in here. The iron, the transformers, that's where you get your real mojo. I want to make sure they're taken care of and pulled out of the circuit before I start tearing stuff up. So the next step is going to be a lot of cutting. Your best friend is your angle cutters. I try to cut things as long as I can, and a lot of these resistors I'll save even if I'm not going to use them because somebody wants them for something. So I'll clip those leads as long as I can. Stuff that goes into the board here will get heated up and pulled out. So that's why I like these boards. All you got to do is soften up the solder and you can pull the parts right out. You go back with a solder sucker and you suck all the solder out. And then when you build it again, you just push the new parts through, you re-crimp it and solder it. It's beautiful. You can see I've already pulled through some of these parts. Where I had pulled through the leads for those transformers, I also went ahead and just pulled those out of the same sockets that they were occupying. This whole thing is going to get stripped down. I have taken out the tag strip here. Got its own little grounding bar thing, which comes with it. I took this guy out of here. Those both screw in with these posts. This one here is riveted in, so I'll have to drill that out. There's a few other things that need to get drilled out on here, so we'll do all that at once. I'm done labeling the transformers. I'm done clipping the back wires here. I'm gonna now go through and remove this whole control box in the top thing, the wiring for the capacitors, and I'll even gently be removing these resistors. By gently, I mean like I'm not gonna clip the leads. I'm actually gonna go in with some pliers and bend off whatever I can to keep as much lead as possible, because these may wind up right back here. So I don't wanna make it so they won't reach anymore. When I'm done with that, I'll come back and I'll probably strip down this whole board from left to right. At this point, I have now disconnected the top row of this little tag strip here. I've pulled the parts back. I've also trimmed out some of the wires in here. I will carefully take out these capacitors and these resistors once this metal board is removed. I will start peeling apart the bottom row, and those will all come out, and then this board comes out, and then I'll pull all the parts off the sockets, and then we'll pull the parts off of there. At this point, I've taken all the parts off the board. I've saved what might be useful, thrown away what definitely isn't. We're not gonna reuse any of this wiring. There's not even a chance. We've got the boards removed. We've got all that stuff gone, all that stuff gone. We took out this other cap can. This one requires drilling. That requires some drilling. That requires drilling. That requires drilling. Yeah, drilling. I think I'm gonna focus most of what I do on a brand new faceplate that just mounts on here. That way I don't have to hack too much of this up. Now these are the boards that have come out. Yeah, I did keep resistors all in a bag here. There's a lot of these. I will probably reuse a lot of these in the appropriate places. Resistors are some real mojo. These are flavor, baby. Depending on where they are. Yeah, so I'll hold on to these. Getting close. Got these boards done. And now you see here, the way these things work is you poke all your part legs through these holes. Usually you'll twist the parts together or you'll crimp them really hard here and then you solder them. This board was probably already a little warped even when it was new. It gets heated when it's being assembled from all the soldering, and it gets heated just from living here for years and years and years. So the warpage is not unusual. I'm gonna rebuild my new circuits on these boards. Now, there was something I forgot to mention earlier. V10 here, this position just before the rectifier tube. It's a 7-pin. It was one of those YouTube guitar guys, and he was talking about using a Silvertone 1482 tremolo. Tremolo? I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm terrible at pronouncing words. You can laugh at me anytime I mispronounce things. The tremolo is really cool, and it interacts with a pair of 6V6s that are cathode biased in just the right way. This is going to be an effects-laden amplifier with a limiter, a distortion. It's going to have its own separate reverb amp, and it's going to have a tremolo. These are all just colors that I'm creating for another artist to paint with. I'm not really the musician. Actually, I'm not a musician at all. I'm a technician. At least when it comes to this stuff. This to me is a functional sculpture. These things were always functional sculptures. Look, I mean, they're handmade by human beings. This is not a machine made. Now, a machine made the parts, so it's definitely a collaboration between man and machine. To me, it is a functional work of art. This thing's gonna have lots of controls all the way up and down, but they're all gonna actually do something and they're all gonna be useful. This is gonna be a platform that I might get really into, the Hammond AO-29. Some people don't like it, but as I took this thing apart, I'm kind of falling in love, baby. This is American and cheap and nobody wants them. People really don't want the older ones that have the more powerful transformer, but I mean, I'll find a way to tame that extra voltage. This is the first, but it will not be the last. It may be the first of many, all of which I keep. This one is going to be guitar focused because all of my beta testers are guitar players, so we're going to start there. That's about it. I'm going to finish cleaning this up and then we'll get to the next chapter.